Well, Mario fans, I hate to give out bad news because as Mario fans, we've been waiting a long time for both, the next 3D Mario game, Mario Kart, so any good information is something we're looking for, and today, I'm sorry, I'm not really giving that, but yes, we don't know for sure if it's Mario related, but this is the information that we have. This comes from Nin10doland on Twitter. They are somewhat of a reliable source that has gotten a lot of things right in the past and called some events and things that happened with Nintendo, and they took to Twitter to give some pretty interesting information. So he follows up on some past statements that he made before, stating, just before Nintendo's official statements about increased complexity in game development, I commented that a launch title would be delaying the announcement of the Switch 2 for this reason. It seems that there could be changes on this. As soon as I know more, I will tell you. This is referring back to the fact that we were planning for a big Switch 2 presentation in the beginning of this year in March for it to release later this year, and apparently there's been some type of inside delay that we don't know about, and a lot of people have been saying that it was due to some specific software related things and Nintendo's launch lineup, and very specifically could be following after one specific launch game. Since then, he follows up with an update and states, green light for Switch 2 announcement. A Nintendo flagship will not be available at launch. The game's release date was supposed to be announced alongside the console release, but it would be delayed by about 6 months. Now Nintendo can prepare the lineup of releases for the announcement. He then follows up and states, we can speculate about a Mario game, but I can't confirm it for now. There is a lot of fear of leaking specific details. Clearing the way doesn't mean an announcement is imminent, but I think the fact that Nintendo is already auditing developments to stipulate dates for 2025 means something. So what he's claiming here is that apparently Nintendo had been waiting and holding out for Switch 2 reveals and the actual release of the console for this specific launch title, and it looks like this launch title may not be making the launch window. In fact, it might be pushed 6 months after the release of the console, and apparently it's a flagship franchise. A comment down below stated, obviously for a flagship franchise, it comes down to like a couple of games, and most people are going to say Mario or Zelda, and we just had a Zelda game, and of course we are long due for Mario. And Nin10doland responds, I would bet on Mario or Mario Kart, but for now, I don't know more. There is a lot of caution. Now this raises a lot of questions. There's good to this and there's also bad. Let's just talk about the good for one. So if this is the case, it seems like Nintendo is now no longer worried about this title and that this title is going to release within the year still for next year, but it's going to be a while after the brand new console launches. So yeah, obviously we'll get into that in a second, but with that said, Nintendo is now no longer waiting on things, and it looks like Necro Felipe is kind of hinting at the fact that we could, and I mean could, see a reveal of the console very, very soon, and that's adding up with a lot of other things like PH Brazil claiming everything's been bumped up now, and this also goes alongside this. Maybe Nintendo finally decided to just, let's get this thing out, let's talk about this thing, this game is still going to sell units, we just got to wait for it. But of course, the bad news, we're not getting a Mario game at launch? I don't know. It's hard to say. Now remember, there's 2 Mario games to be talking about here. These are 2 flagship franchises, 3D Mario and Mario Kart. So I don't know if this is suggesting that only one of these is going to make the cut and we're going to have to wait for the other one for 6 months. Is one replacing the other? Is there going to be no Mario game at launch until 6 months later? Does that mean we're only getting one Mario game next year, whether it be Mario Kart or 3D Mario? This is a little scary, I can't lie. Next year will mark 11 years since the last original Mario Kart game being Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U. Of course, it re-released on the Switch with extra DLC and bringing back old tracks, but 11 years since the latest installment, which is just absolutely insane. Now the question is, could this be the game that they are talking about here? Maybe, I'm not 100% sure. There could be a chance that Nintendo was in fact planning to have Mario Kart at launch because they know how big Mario Kart 8 was, or at least Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, so maybe they were actually indeed planning to have Mario Kart 8 first, and then the 3D Mario later on in the year, and maybe now it's going to be flopped or switched or something. I don't know, it's hard to say, but yeah, maybe Mario Kart was pushed back because they needed to work out some kinks and bugs with like maybe the online, maybe some other things, just really tying up loose ends and touching the game up some more. It's hard to say which one because once again, these are all just rumors, but I am actually hesitant because I feel like this might be talking about the next 3D Mario game. Now, when we talk about 3D Mario, next year will mark 8 years since the last 3D Mario, which is also absolutely insane. But based on rumors that we've heard about this game already, it seemed like this game was going for something absolutely massive. Like it was going to be the Breath of the Wild for Nintendo's Switch 2, and a lot of people are getting ready for it. Apparently it's going to have a huge open world and just tons of places to explore, and it's just going to be a massive 3D Mario game. And if we have anything to go off of from Nintendo's past, look at how many delays games like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom got. I mean, oh my goodness, we learned about those games so many years in advance, and it took so long for those games to finally even get real trailers for us to view, let alone release on the console. So there's a good chance that maybe this game is just not in development crisis, but really just in a long period of cleaning up, and they are still not satisfied or content with where the game's at right now. And you know, Nintendo, they like to make sure that especially their huge AAA titles like Mario and Zelda are pretty much perfect upon release. I mean, look at how little bugs and glitches are in Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, seriously, with such an advanced mechanic with the building mechanic in Ultra Hand, you'd expect that game to be riddled with bugs and players finding them all the time, but literally I haven't experienced one after almost like 300 hours of gameplay. So it's really incredible how polished Nintendo's games are, and they're going to do the same thing with the next big 3D Mario game, especially if it's going to showcase the new hardware. Now the question is, does this affect one another? Are we still getting some Mario game at launch, whether it be the 3D Mario or Mario Kart and the other ones pushed back? It also makes me wonder if that even makes sense, unless like Nintendo, like I said, was planning Mario Kart at launch and now they're like, oh, let's switch it around. Let's make, you know, 3D Mario at launch and Mario Kart the holiday. So I don't know, it's hard to say. But it is kind of scary, because if we don't get a Mario game at all at launch and we have to wait 6 months later, what in the world does Nintendo launch with the new console? I mean, seriously, they will extremely shoot themselves in the foot doing this, because software sells hardware. When people are saying there's a huge new exclusive 3D Mario game that they can play only on the new hardware, that's what's going to make them buy the console in the first place. They're not going to want to buy the console and be like, oh, we got to wait 6 months for a Mario game. So what other game is going to fit that spot as a launch title? It could be Metroid Prime 4, but personally, as much as I love Metroid, I truly do, Metroid Prime 4 is not going to be a system seller the way people think. It's not one of their flagship franchises. It's not the next Mario. It's not the next Zelda. So yeah, it pains me to say this. If Metroid Prime 4 is there as a launch title or like a cross-release between Switch 1 and Switch 2, I hope it's alongside some other games for launch, because I hope that's not the only one. It's just not going to be enough. Now, once again, this is all to be taken with a grain of salt. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and honestly, I'd be very, very shocked if Nintendo did this. It just doesn't quite make any sense at all. You know, with Nintendo really delaying this console, if it is true internally, it just makes sense that they're delaying it for a reason. They're delaying it because they want to make sure that they have a huge stellar launch lineup and launch window for that first year. So I'd be very shocked after waiting as long as we have for Switch 2 that Nintendo just didn't have a big Mario at launch. But who knows? We'll find out sooner than later, I'm sure, because it definitely does feel like Nintendo's gearing up for something soon. We're just gonna have to keep waiting and just keeping our eyes peeled. But let me know in the comments down below what you think about this. Do you think Nintendo is actually going to delay a big launch Mario game by 6 months? Do you think this is bogus? Do you think we are going to 100% get some type of 3D Mario or Mario Kart at launch? Let me know what you think down below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe before you head out. And like always, I'll see you all on the next one. See ya, guys.